Awesome. Yay. Well, I guess just to start, thank you for meeting with me.
Mhm.
If really quick for the video, your first and last name and your title here at the
Mhm.
university.
Jeanne Stevenson. I'm the Vice Provost for Academic Affairs. In a few weeks, I will be the Vice Provost for Faculty.
Nice.
So we're doing some readjustment of positions here.
Awesome. How does the adjustment of the positions or the title change affect your job duties in any way?
Okay. So currently, I'm under Academic Affairs.
Mhm.
I have some roles and responsibilities with faculty development and helping faculty through the processes for promotion, tenure, and so forth. Helping our chairs be effective in their jobs and knowing what current practices are and what the university's expectations are for different policies, procedures, and so forth. So kind of a professional development model. So those are a couple of examples. I also have some oversight of several units that, like for example, international programs, the registrar's office, an eclectic variety. I guess I would say the student academic advising area.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have 2 or 3 more. Which really focus on the academic area with students. And in the new organization, the focus on academics will be with a different vice provost, and I'll keep the faculty piece.
Cool.
So that's how
Awesome.
that transition will happen.
Awesome. I hold a soft spot for academic affairs. I used to work in an academic advising unit at my old institution, so
Uh-huh.
I love academic affairs. So
It's a great area. What the change, so I'm going to get back to your actual question, what the change focus helps us do is have more focused and more depth attention within each of those areas.
okay.
So now it's very broad and it crosses over a whole host of different areas in addition to the reporting units that I mentioned. So as we make this transition, I'll have more depth and ability to, as our staff here, work with faculty to improve our ability to support faculty in our chairs. And the person that will have academic initiatives will have, again, that same opportunity for more depth and focus.
Okay. I guess branching off on this piece and just going straight into some of the questions. So with the transition into the overseeing the faculty piece and whatnot, you said that there'll be more depth in how you interact and what you can do and things like that. And I'll use this word as a broad term, as someone in leadership or someone a leader in this position or a higher up for all the faculty. Do you think that this transition is good for the faculty, especially with that more focus on the faculty and more depth in like what you can do with them? Or I don't know if that's a.
I think I understand the question. If I don't, then ask me again.
Okay.
It's an opportunity for the university to create more forms of support for our deans, our department administrators, and our faculty. Sometimes, so we have something I call mystery learning. So we expect people to know things that we haven't really, if you will, taught them or provided an opportunity for them to learn. So what we'll be able to do is be proactive and identify the areas that, as a university community, we want to support in terms of both recruiting and hiring high-quality faculty, which I think we do generally. Being able to then work with them to provide opportunities for learning more about the University of Idaho, what the expectations are, what the opportunities are, and so forth. Being able to guide people through the process of promotion and tenure. Being able to help people identify offices that they can go to. So if somebody has a brilliant research idea, making sure that they know which offices are going to be most able to support their areas of interest and so forth.
Okay.
So I think that's answering what you were asking me.
Definitely. And one of the topics that we have discussed in the class is ways to kind of grow and support the community, especially in the leadership industry or higher education setting or a workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And so that definitely answered.
And I think it fills a gap that we have had institutionally. We've done some work in all of those areas, but we haven't had the opportunity to be as comprehensive as we might like to be.
Awesome.
And can be.
Awesome. So I guess, and starting with the first question that I had kind of planned in my head, I guess in general, when you think of someone in a leadership role or a leader, what is the image that comes to your mind? Or what do you see? What do you imagine a leader to do? Like the characteristics or the qualities, or like, what do you imagine?
Gosh. So I have several things I would say. One is I think it needs to be a person that has good depth of knowledge and who's also interested in continuous learning, because all of our fields change. So being knowledgeable, I think, is a piece of it. Having a good sense about working with people, so that I'm not particularly directive. I don't think my children would say differently, but my preference is to bring people together to talk about what the particular interest is, and then come to some consensus, guiding it, but coming to some consensus that this is the next set of steps that make sense to do. Okay. So being collaborative is important to me, in engaging people so that it's our idea rather than my telling people what they need to do. Of course, sometimes that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And that does happen, but I think an effective leader is able to bring people together and form a plan, form an idea, form a plan, and be able to execute it well. I think we need to, an effective leader will measure the effectiveness so that there's some accountability and some opportunity to come back and say, gosh, that worked well, or here are 3 parts that worked well, and here are 2 other things that we need to reevaluate. So also thinking about continuous improvement as part of that. There's probably more, but those are the things that come off the top of my head.
Quite honestly, that in reading, in our course and going through lessons and whatnot, a lot of that is the style that the author of our book that we're reading actually promotes.
Oh, interesting.
It's interesting because there are 2 ideas, or there's 2 ways he talks about leadership. We have the prescribed leadership of you want someone who's nice and gentle and kind and modest and things like that, but then you have the actual leader who's the complete opposite of that, and there's always trying to find that balance, which I think what you see in an effective leader is that nice balance of someone who's collaborative but also is going to kind of be that directive. So that's interesting. Do you, in your own leadership styles, do you try to incorporate any of that, those ideas into like how working in both this office and with the university in general?
So that's kind of just my approach, and I really can't tell you how and when I learned that. So I've had several different types of leadership positions, and that's just what I have found to be effective. So it's sort of, I don't know if it's maybe intuitive for me.
Awesome. And to keep it under the 10-minute mark, I think that's all the questions that I had. Thank you for meeting with me.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And if you find you need more, feel free to talk to Joanna and get back on my calendar.
Definitely.